So, hi. Welcome everybody to Music Rules episode 11. My name is Jack and I'm from a little band called Basil's Kite. And I want to introduce you to my co-host,
Fenn.
From...
Fenn is cool.
And...
Other bands.
And...
The Music Rules podcast, which you are now listening to.
Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. And we're here on this very cold New South Welsh day to talk about a band that sounds like maybe they're not from a cold place. Maybe they're from a warm place.
Maybe they're from Philadelphia.
Maybe they're from Philly, which they are. And I hope I can see them when I go to Philly.
Yep.
That would be super cool.
You should go
I'll
also visit
hand.
the cream cheese factory.
Oh, yeah? Is it kind of like Bega?
I don't know. They have Philadelphia cream cheese.
For international listeners, we have a very famous town called Bega, which is where all of the Australian New South Welsh cheese comes from. So if you're ever down here in Australia, down under, you cannot miss Bega.
Yep.
It is breathtaking. It is worth the 10-hour drive down there.
You got to.
You got to do it. So yeah, we're talking about Palm, Nix and Grazes. And Palm is a band I've been wanting to do kind of since the beginning of the pod. They're a very, very unique band and I've got lots to say about them. So I'll do a little intro just because I haven't actually looked up the names of the people in the band before. Palm band members. Okay, so there's Eve Alpert, Kassara Kurt, Hugo Stanley, and Gerasimus Livitsanos. And the four of them create a lot of noise. It is incredibly dense, incredibly polyphonic, interestingly through composed music in lots of examples. And let's just dive in with a little song I like to call Glen Beige. Cool. What do you think, Fenn?
I think it sounds really cool, and I think that this is the least prepared for an episode that I've ever been.
You know what, Fenn? It's all right because I'm also the least prepared for the following episode that we're going to do on your band next. So don't even sweat it.
But I woke up this morning and I was like, I've got to listen to this band to get ready for the episode. And I started listening to it and I was all bleary-eyed, and it was like the most dense. Like I felt like I was on a complete other planet. Like I felt like I was still dreaming and just like imagining these crazy sounds.
Yes.
So that's kind of partially how I feel about it. Yeah.
But I find that such a nice thing about this band though, is because they are super polyphonic. They are very rhythmic and dense and kind of difficult in ways, but something about it is very playful and non-clinical, which I really like.
Yeah, totally.
It's sort of the rhythms that they create and the compositions. It's sort of just like it's done as if it's like so natural and just kind of like it's always groovy. It always kind of makes like even that song. I wrote out some of the time signatures because I'm just that sort of guy. And I think it's a cool way to learn about this music, but like there's like that main section's in 5.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. And then there's like the B section, which comes where one of the vocalists, Kazra, they sort of like start singing like a bit of a monotone. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And then the time signature in this bit I wrote down is 5, 5, 5, 3, 6, and 5. And of course, I'm a little dweeb. I had to add those numbers together, and I found out that it's a prime number. And prime numbers, it's 29, I should say. And prime numbers like 29, notoriously kind of, I don't want to say unmusical, but difficult to perform, difficult to play. Kind of like the higher the prime, the less sort of intuitive it can be. But you know what? It is really intuitive when these guys do it. It is so, the whole time it's just something about, there's like a really obvious pulse pushing you through.
Yeah, there's something about like, you can play in an odd time signature and you can make it sound like really bad. Like if they were just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then that would kind of suck. Maybe that would be awesome, actually. But or you can play in an odd time signature and make it sound really natural and really groovy, and use all these kind of catchy, ear hooky rhythms and melodies and stuff. I actually felt that middle section a bit differently to you. I kind of felt it more like a cross rhythm, whereas like do 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 or whatever it is. So
kind of like more of a triplet feel. Dun, dun, dun,
maybe
dun,
something like that. I don't know exactly.
But back on what you said, I think it actually would suck to play it that straight. or at least it would be pretty different. Kind of like when I think about playing odd time signatures in a very overstated way, I sort of think about my first kind of experiments in math rock and stuff like that. Like just literally like, oh, let's do 3 bars of 4/4, and then the last bar will be 5/4, and it's just sort of like tacked on the end, and doesn't feel as natural. I don't want to. Maybe it doesn't suck. Maybe that's a bit too damning for our mostly entirely positive music rules podcast. But I don't know. I do want to say I appreciate the fact that it's very groovy.
Yeah,
and
they make it sound so natural.
29. Yeah. And also
29. That's my age. Wait,
hey,
no, it's not. I'm 28.
Oh my God! Someone called Tom DeLonge. This guy wants to know what his age is again. It's other stuff I wrote down. It's extremely sparse in a way, which might seem weird to say because there's a lot going on. But in terms of like how it's like the instrumentation of it, it's pretty classic Palm. There's like the drums and bass are just extremely locked in. They're catching every hit, and it's really, really different in how it's composed compared to a lot of music in this style. There's guitar, and every single bit is really calculated. I think this album is significant because the guitarist Eve is sort of playing synth more in this and singing.
Yeah, I was reading something on their Bandcamp, and they talked about how there was like more electronic elements, and they taught themselves how to use Ableton and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think there's probably, I don't know, some added electronics and synths and things like that, compared to the previous recordings.
Did you just say Ableton in French?
Ableton. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. I don't use it.
No, it's good.
I have a vendetta against it.
I've just said Ableton, but I like Ableton.
Ableton.
It's nicer. What's your vendetta? Just quickly.
I just don't like using it. I guess I also used it once in a composition tutor. Was like, I brought in a song I'd made on Ableton, and my teacher was like, you can always tell when something's made on Ableton.
What the heck?
And it's like, it's very, well, I don't know. There's just a way to use it, which is very loop based, which is what I'd done in my lesson. But the band Palm, they definitely they're using it in that project mode.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed by how locked in everything is. Like, they must, I don't know. It just seems like a band that's played together for ages, and they're just really in sync, thinking as one.
Yeah. It's like, you should check out their previous album. It's got a song called Dog Milk. Me and Isaac from Basil's Kite. I know. Like, is it a gross name? Kind of. It makes you think of that South Park episode.
Yeah, I don't know the one.
But the thing is that the song is so beautiful that I forget that it's kind of got a slightly gross name.
Or maybe you now have a positive association with dog milk because of the song.
Oh, I really hope not. But I'll talk a little bit about that later, dog milk. But yeah, it's trying if there's anything here I haven't brought out yet. Oh yeah, so there's this wonderful little interplay where the drums seem to stop and move around based on what the vocals are doing. So there's a bit where the singer goes inaudible, and then the drums do this like really wacky offbeat triplet thing. It's like, and it just collapses in this really like dramatic kind of way, like a toddler trying to walk or something. It's just, and then it lands really nicely, and then it says fallen short, and then the drums just go and just stop for a phrase.
That's super cool.
Yeah. Same, the drums stop again in the line, I'm content to hold. The drums just hold.
Oh yeah.
Don't play. Yeah.
Very clever.
Yeah, super clever. And there's lots of good tempo changes, once again, kind of making it nice and
human.
Nice
human
and alive.
Yeah.
Humans move. And I think when they perform it live, and you absolutely should check them out live because they do this live, they really push the tempo slowdowns, or the accelerandos and decelerandos. Is it decelerando?
Yeah, no. It's,
retardando?
Retardando or retenuto. They have subtly different meanings.
What's the difference?
A retardando is gradually getting slower. Retenuto means you immediately get slower.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay. Well, basically, in this case, there's retardando.
Yes, and retenuto.
True. And another thing is this song is wacky everywhere, yada yada. But I think the vocal I think the vocal melody is entirely pentatonic.
Yeah.
It sort of just follows this sing-songy kind of childlike. One
thing I liked harmonically was like that B section that we're talking about. It kind of brings in it makes it feel more like Mixolydian. Like it brings in that kind of minor seventh kind of thing.
Yeah. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boo.
Yeah. I think this song is in C. This is
Okay.
kind of nice. It makes it even more, I don't know, like keys have any sort of specific meaning. I don't think they do, but I don't know.
Yeah.
C is the people's key. That's what a music therapist once said to me.
I just think everything should be in C.
Everything should be in C.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm writing everything in C these days.
Yeah, good. No more sharps or flats. Don't want it.
No.
Actually, C is my worst key to sing in. I would
Oh.
never. Yeah, I shouldn't do it. Yeah. Anyway, so that's basically everything I got on this one. It's a pretty song. Shall we move on to On the Sly?
Yes, let's slyly move on to that song.
Ah, nice.
No, that was not nice.
You thought of that epic joke on the fly.
Oh
Nice. And then who knows? Maybe a future episode will be on the.
my. Oh, club.
Cut that. They can't know. There's got to be our epic surprise.
Yeah, epic
All right.
surprise.
Club. On the Sly by Palm. Cracker of a tune. In my top 3 on the album.
I can't hear you.
No.
The music kept going.
Oh wait, you can hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay.
But
thank God.
I was still in the zone.
Oh really? I must have started mine quicker than yours.
Yep.
Well, welcome back. How was it being in the zone?
Oh man, I was just floating, drifting through the zone.
Hell
The
yeah.
sly zone, as I like to call it.
The sly zone.
Sly in the family zone, I like to call it.
Hey, speaking of stone, you carry a stone in your palm. Speaking of
That's
palm, so that was on the sly. I looked up this song because I wanted to learn what the heck was going on in that opening section.
Yes.
And what I found upset me deeply because this band is insane. So I notated the like the bass, guitar, and drums in that opening bit. I tried to get Eve's synth stuff, but I sort of couldn't really wrap my ears around what was going on, aside from the fact that it was pretty and nice and thick in the texture in a really cool way. But the stuff I had down here, it's in 6/4. At least that's one way of counting it. It's like, and the snare drum kind of holds the rhythm in a big way. So it's kaka, 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 and then ba ba bum, ba ba bum, ba ba bum.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing about this, there's all these really cool kind of bass and kick drum bits that are locked in, but the guitar is playing like 9. I don't even know how to. Maybe you could kind of better explain what's happening.
Yes, I count it differently to you, which is funny.
Oh, really?
So you've got this notation in front of me, but I'm like,
I sent it through.
Internally disagreeing with it, which is a funny position to be in. So you've got this whole thing. You're like, it's like 9/6 or something, blah blah blah. I feel like it's in 3/4 or 3/2, right?
Yeah,
and like those are just like the guitar part is just doing triplets. Right? But then they're just grouped strangely, or the melody isn't in 3s, like the guitar melody is in kind of like 5s, which is a really cool technique to use. Like when you're playing triplets, if you group them in 4s or 5s, it's like do 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 do, like that's a group of 4, but yeah, I don't know. I guess essentially I am agreeing with what you wrote, but the way you've grouped it, like you should be grouping it in 3 minims instead of like the way it's grouped is you've grouped it in 2 dotted minims, because you can see there are these groups of 4 in the drum part. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
Interesting.
That's just my
Yeah.
feedback.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's fine. It's like, that's the whole thing with this music. Hey, is it's like, I'm sure if you asked each member to write a chart, it would look drastically different.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like just this weird kind of polymetric stuff. The thing that really freaked me out though is the guitar, which I tapped here. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, cool. It's like that. So kind of like I think it's a grouping of like 4 notes. Boom, ding, dum, dum, and it goes. And then when it hits the first beat of the second phrase, it becomes and starts on the second note of that.
Yeah.
So it kind of just like shifts where it begins.
He's kind of like shifting like how long his group is. Like Oh no, okay, no, it's just a group of 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a 4-note pattern.
Yeah. That loops in a really funky way.
Yeah. It's so cool. I love when people do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like looking at it and I was like, oh, I got to do this more. That's cool.
Yeah. I first heard that technique when I had to transcribe a Herbie Hancock solo when I was learning like jazz piano as a teenager, and like he was using stuff like that a lot of the time. It's super groovy.
Yeah. This also, like, as well as that, which I think is another kind of technique of palm. I think they used this before, but that da 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 da, as it sort of develops into different themes, that da 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 comes in, and it's kind of like a bit of a thematic anchor, I guess, for the song.
Totally. I feel like their music has these little cues, like the drum will play something and that's like a signal to like start the pattern again.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is something that would have only developed by just playing a lot live, and like
Yeah.
they're playing these really complicated things, so they need this little moment where it's like ba ba bum daka dum
Yeah.
daka dum, and then back into it.
Yeah. I love that, like, it's tends to be something that's invisible, at least for the most part, to people, unless you do repeated listens, or you're some sort of genius, some sort of smart guy.
It's I like to think of these sort of syncopated rhythms. It's almost like this gravitational thing where you're kind of like floating in the Earth's atmosphere when you're not playing on the beat, and then so you're kind of waiting for the moment where you get to be back on the beat, and that's like you being brought back down to Earth for a moment before you like float away again. It's kind of like almost magnetic or something. Like you play like all these syncopated things, and then you just need to focus on like, where am I on the beat, and then I can kind of bounce off that spot and just kind of fly from there.
Yeah, just some sort of gravity, like some sort of like, I'm thinking of a solar system for some reason, like something to orient yourself to, I guess. Yeah. Yes, and I put here as well, this has another classic palm technique. You can hear it on this album a bit, but you hear it on the previous album quite a bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and call it the palm sweep. And what it is it's a technique on guitar and it's a really fun way of sweeping. I do the same thing. I've been writing with this kind of sweep for a while, but it's a down sweep where you go. So you sweep down and you hit the high note, and then you play like 3 notes subsequently. So a bit of a dodgy one. Hang on, let me nail it for the take. Kind of like that. Beautiful. So that idea comes in about halfway through, and it's also in another one of their songs called Pearly, which was the first song I ever heard from them. Gorgeous song. They do a live version which absolutely rips. It's got much of the same kind of start-stoppy, like, through composed, incredibly groovy stuff. And that riff goes like this. Oh, hang on. Goes like this. So the whole idea is kind of like, it's like you do one big sweep, and then you go, or have some sort of...
upper melody.
Yeah. And it just feels really nice.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think it sounds great. I don't really like sweep picking that much particularly, although it's a bit of a flashy guitarist thing, but I do really like that kind of sweep pick because it's sort of like I don't know, you can almost like put it in classical terms as like, it's just like a quick arpeggio before like, and it kind of helps propel a melody. Yeah,
it's nice. It's like a broken chord.
Yeah.
Kind of thingy.
Yeah, it's cool. Yes, and of course, both guitarists, you generally playing with like a kind of chorus as well as like a harmonist of some kind, like an octave on top.
Sounds thick.
Sounds thick AF.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said in the beginning. It's very thick for 3 people. And it's also...
4?
4. I don't know why I said 3. Very, very thick for 4 people.
Because we've been talking about all these triplets.
Yeah, we got 3 in the head. I'm thinking of course, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. This is a Christian podcast. Anyway, moving on. At 153, there's like this wonderful Beatles kind of descending bass line. Do you know the one I'm talking about? It goes boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
boom,
yeah.
boom.
So is this the section where it seems like the triplets become the base of the rhythmic feel?
Yes.
Like in the B section? Yeah. I loved how they did that. It was like, it goes from being this background kind of guitar element to being this foregrounded, like rhythmic driving force in the B section.
100%.
Yeah.
And it sort of goes down and goes back to the main theme and then does that same descending Beatles sort of thing again. And then it lands on the B flat, which is so nice. Because it's a little, because this song comes with a Lydian cold open. Wait, let me check my notes. Yes, it does. And yeah, then it lands on the B flat, and it's just, I don't know. I think a lot of what happens in this, not just Palm, but a lot of this style of music is the guitar tends to play kind of neutral intervals or neutral kind of sounds, and then on top it's the bass that does all the legwork in kind of transforming it into this like really unique kind of space.
Yeah, totally. It's a really fun technique to play with, like creating this kind of like cloud of harmonic ambiguity, and then the bass gets so much importance.
Yeah, absolutely. For once. Good old bass. Anyway, I wrote down the time signatures at the end of the song, but it's a little bit boring now I'm looking at it. The whole thing's very cool. Let's move on to...
Let me summarize for you. 317. 421 over 8.
It's hard because I love to notate and write down stuff, and then I'm like looking at it and I'm like, is this really good for a conversation on a podcast? Me saying numbers? Maybe for some people.
The same thing, like, but with notes. It's funny. You're a numbers guy. I'm like a notes guy.
You're a notes guy.
Yeah, this chord here is like E, G sharp, A sharp, B, and C sharp.
And with our powers combined, we are the most boring podcasters in the entire world.
It's just like saying the alphabet and then lots of numbers.
People come out, they're like, wait, why did I ever listen to this? It's just two fellas just talking numbers and letters. Letters and numbers. Hey, that's a TV show.
Oh, yeah. We
should go on there. We'd kill it.
Yeah, we should go on Celebrity Letters and Numbers.
Yeah, we should go on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
They should do I'm a Celebrity, Letters and Numbers, Get Me Out of Here for people who really hate the show.
But who love music rules. They would have the best time.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, speaking of letters and numbers...
And having the best time.
And having the best time. We're up to number 3 song, our final song of the Palm, Nicks and Grazes album. And the last song I picked is one of their big singles from this. And it's called Parable Liquors. And
whoa.
Yeah. I picked
this. Is this also a Christian thing?
Oh my goodness. I'll have to leave in the Christian joke now. All right.
You can cut it. You can cut it off the Parable Liquors. You can just go straight into it.
Yeah, maybe I will do that. That's probably better. All right. I'm ready to go when you are. 3, 2, 1. Music. tell you what, no one does 11 quite like Palm. It's so freaking groovy. It's so dancey.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love the way they grouped that 11, 16.
Yeah. Kind of like 4-4-3.
Yeah, it reminds. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a 3/4 bar. It's like a 4-against-3 polyrhythm, but then they've just taken away one semiquaver.
Yeah, totally. That's a cool way to think about it.
So hypnotic and just fascinating to listen to. And yeah, when I was listening to it for the first time this morning, I was like, whoa, I have no idea what time signature it's in. And it took me like a really long time to actually figure it out. But it's a nice way to organize time signature as like you treat it like a normal time signature, like 3/4, and then you just take away one semiquaver, and all of a sudden you have this like really funky, crazy thing.
Yeah. Well, I had Isaac, because Isaac as well. I kind of feel like I should have got him onto this episode, because he's such a well of knowledge when it comes to this band. But
he's a palm head.
He's a palm head. He was telling me about when he was writing stuff in 11 based on kind of some palm rhythmic ideas. And he talks about how when you're playing an 11 that's really groovy and sounds good, it doesn't sound like 11. It sounds like a really drunk 6. It's kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
It's kind of like really like more floaty, more like a kind of Dilla representation of like an odd time, as opposed to like something that's so obviously.
That reminds me of a lecture that the jazz drummer Simon Barker gave at my university, which is all about like those sort of J Dilla rhythms and how you can express them as odd time signatures. So when you listen to like J Dilla, it sounds like, you know, this really like out of time, non-quantized rhythmic thing, but a rhythmic thing that is really consistent. And when they were playing the music, they would use terms like use the force or something to indicate a specific rhythmic feel, and then they would all play in that pattern. But if you want to kind of quantify it a bit more, like you could do like, you can divide each beat into 9, and maybe instead of your quavers being completely even, it can be like a group of 5 and a group of 4. And then you'll end up with these kind of drunk sounding quavers, but ones that have been meticulously notated.
Totally.
It's a really fun way to think about rhythm.
It is. And isn't it like so funny that like it's was never like written with that sort of academic head, how do I put it, like kind of cerebral approach? It was just kind of like just a thing that sounded cool.
Yeah, totally.
It's funny, different people's interpretation of like swing or like quintuplets or septuplets, which of course is like dividing by 5 or by 7. Like I saw Jacob Collier on a TV show, and he was talking about yeah, we hate TV.
Yes, TV.
He was talking about 67% swing. And I was like,
oh my God.
What, isn't that like interesting? Like having like a percentage kind of thing to it. But then like he was talking, he's like, yeah, you got like 75%, and then he's saying that, and then you got 80%. And I was like, that's like imagining swing as a percentage. That's so wacky. I mean, if you're a genius, if you're a boy genius and you can do it, then by all means do it. But 67% swing doesn't mean much to me. When I hear it, though, I mean, I know what it means.
67% swing. I mean, this is what notation is for. Like, 67% swing is just like, not to go off on Jacob Collier for a second, but it's just like a group of triplets, and you just have like crotchet, then a quaver, because that's 66.6, and then like, what's the difference between that and 67%? There's no.
Right.
And 75% is just a dotted quaver and then a semiquaver. But you know what I mean?
This is the thing, Fenn. It sounds so cool on morning television. It sounds freaking rad to everyone who's listening.
Okay. I guess maybe that's why he's talking about it in those terms, because he's trying to explain it to people who don't play music or something, but
I don't know. I don't think it makes any more sense to people who don't play music.
there's something about that guy that just irks me.
Yeah, it's somewhere buried within like the success and the talent and a little bit of the image. There's something that you want to see. You want to see some pain behind the eyes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that resonates with some people.
Maybe he has all these hidden struggles.
Yeah.
Also, when he came to Australia, in my Instagram stories, I got this sponsored post from him, and he said that he was stegosaurously excited to come to Australia. And I was just like, this is...
You were like, oh, he took my joke.
Yeah.
I was going to do
I was
that.
like, God damn, I've been saying stegosaurusly excited my whole damn life.
This guy
Jacob
waltzes
Collier
in
here
here like he owns the place.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's... I'm trying to think of a way we can link Jacob and 67% swing. Well, I don't know what sort of percentage you would put on 11, but it's certainly doesn't feel that analytical in this song. It's there is like a brief moment where it just cuts to 7/8, has 2 bars of 7/8 in the middle of nowhere just to kind of mess with things even further. But
yeah,
and
that was cool.
Yeah,
it was really cool that it comes sort of towards the end of the song, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it's just completely out of nowhere. Like, if you were playing this, let's imagine it all notated and, like, you're playing it in a wind band, it would be, like, 300 bars of 11, and then there's 1 bar of 7. You got to count.
Yeah. Yeah, really, the whole kind of anchor of the song is that the drummer... Pardon me. The
drummer is very groovy,
incredibly groovy. I want to know the drummer's name because I want to give them credit. Hugo Stanley. Yes, Hugo Stanley. It's like they're playing the cowbell, not the cowbell, the steel drum, and that kind of pieces it all together. But
I love a steel drum. It's an awesome sound.
Yeah. Well, the best thing about steel drum is, hey, free drum.
I guess so. Oh my god, that took me so long to get.
That's all right. This is the sort of intellectual jokes you can get from a Jacob Collier fan.
Yeah. Average Jacob Collier fan.
Big brain.
We went to a music shop one day when we were rehearsing for the musical we did together, and this guy told us all about steel drums and like how to make them and stuff. It was pretty interesting. I don't remember a single thing he said. Yeah,
he said that he learnt at the con, and he said that it takes a lot of work to get them like equally tempered, like a piano. And to which I said, screw that, bucko. Show me that sweet microtonal steel drums, which I actually I bet that's actually like a staple of like, because where did the steel drum come from again?
Maybe the Caribbean. I don't want to assume that, but I'm guessing.
No, I think that's right. Yeah. Like I feel like that would be a staple of like, kind of that like traditional steel drum music would be the fact that it's not
it would definitely
equally
not
tempered.
be equal tempered.
Yeah,
There's no way in hell.
There's no way in hell they would be like getting the frequency values. They're probably tuning them in fifths or something like that. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or maybe everything was different.
Maybe just tuning them randomly.
Yeah. Which is super cool.
They just would draw. It'd be funny if they just drew random circles and they're like,
let's bang away.
They probably actually had consistent like circles that they would use.
Probably, but it probably
this
wasn't
all speculation.
As like, yeah, which is cool. I like talking without any sort of real specific knowledge. But maybe it's a bit like gamelan instruments where like just an ensemble has its own tuning.
And maybe some of them are like purposefully out with each other.
Yeah, for sure. To kind of
male
make
and
it
female
even louder.
Instruments.
Yeah, and female is traditionally lower, lower in pitch, which is interesting. Anyway, did you know that the steel drum sound is performed live by the guitarist?
Whoa.
Yeah. So I saw them play live, and it looks like they kind of have a MIDI device picking up the guitar that sends it to a computer, I guess, that turns it into a steel drum. That really changed things for me.
That's cool.
I don't know. I just when I saw that it was live, that made me excited.
Yeah.
So this band a lot gets called psychedelic, which I
Oh.
hate. I hate that. They are
Yeah.
in no way psychedelic. I think of psychedelic and I think of like some of the like three of the most boring people you've ever met stoned in a room playing a 12-bar blues with like a flanger
especially
on.
in Wollongong.
Yeah, or the Blue Mountains or like
Mm-hmm.
basically anywhere that has those three people in a room together.
Yes.
Not interesting. I've never had any sort of interest in psychedelia. I don't even know how to say
Really?
it. That's how much I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, name a psychedelic band.
Animal Collective.
Oh, well, are they really psychedelic as well?
I mean, look at their album covers, buddy.
Maybe I'm getting psychedelic confused with
No.
stoner
I
rock.
mean, like
Like-
psych rock
Yeah.
is like a really boring genre.
Yeah.
But
Or like
I think
Pink
maybe
Floyd? They're a psychedelic band?
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
let's
know
have a
if
look
it's
here.
accurate to call Animal Collective psychedelic, but they do seem, I don't know.
It is one of their tags.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
definitely influenced by certain chemicals and not just the ones that exist in their brain already.
Yeah. Stuff like coffee.
Yeah.
Stuff like
Tea.
creatine. That's how they're so freaking strong.
Yeah.
Speaking of Animal
They
Collective,
love creatine.
they love
Yeah.
it. That's how they're so jacked. Speaking of Animal Collective, Palm gets compared to Animal Collective quite a lot. And I think it's a little bit unfair. I think there's definitely some elements to it that, like, I think the fact that there's some vocal effects applied,
Yeah.
the fact that there's sort of like a lot of reverb in parts on the
And tons of
vocals.
double tracking.
Lots of double tracking, that's true. And a lot of the harmonies. And I think as well,
You just keep going and you're like, oh, wait.
look, there's definitely similarities.
Yeah.
But I think it's inaccurate because Animal Collective, they're experimental in terms of rhythm. Like they've done songs in 7 and they've done songs with like different bridges that kind of just go and go and go and
Yeah.
all this stuff. But Palm take it to a whole other way. Palm is like
Yeah.
it's entirely its own thing, and I'm yet to hear anything even remotely close to it. So kudos to Palm for
And as far as I'm aware, Animal Collective are a collective of animals, whereas Palm, I think, are a collective of humans.
yeah, that's correct. So there's
That's another
actually
important difference.
yeah, there's actually like a panda bear, I think, is in Animal Collective.
Yeah.
And some other animals which I can't remember, nor am I interested at all in looking up. But yeah, I guess they,
Danimal Deacon.
Danimal Deacon? Do you mean Dan Deacon?
Yeah.
But Dan Deacon isn't even in Animal Collective. I don't
He
think.
was.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Um,
He's
Yeah.
not even an animal.
no.
Anyway,
He's a Danimal.
He's a Danimal. I wanted to briefly talk about Dog Milk and then we'll move on to my song because it's kind of
Okay.
getting on a little bit. Dog Milk is a track off their previous album and it's also in 11. And this is me and Isaac's favorite song. I keep talking
Wow.
about Isaac like he's here, or like people, I guess people listening might know who he is. He's the drummer of Basil's Kite. When Isaac and I lived together, we used to put on Dog Milk and smoke cigars in the backyard during lockdown. And we would just sit there and just be like quiet and not talking to one another. And then it would finish and we'd be like, oh my God. It is a gorgeous song. Maybe I'll throw it in here as well, but we won't have to listen now. But it's a gorgeous song and it's got these amazing interweaving melodies. Every time I hear Eve's vocal melody, it's about halfway through the song. It makes me weep. It is so beautiful. It's like it's such a clever and interesting thing to do that you ever have the thing, Fenn, where you listen to music and you go, I can't believe that people did this and I'm proud of human beings.
Yeah.
Do you ever get that?
How did they do that? Why did they do that?
Yeah. And
why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, that's the bit that you gotta kind of suppress that. But it's just this feeling of like, I'm so proud of people for being so wonderful because life is hard.
It's the feeling of like, if you've ever played tennis, like when you hit the ball like right on the line, or like witnessing somebody do that, you're like, damn, they just nailed it.
Yeah, And the best thing is they intended to get the line as well. That's the whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway,
I just have to say one thing about that. Very nice to hear about your bromance with Isaac.
Yeah.
And also, if you love the song Dog Milk so much, then why don't you marry
it? Well, guess what? Maybe I will marry it. Maybe I'll get married to Dog Milk and then I'll listen to it every day and feel melancholy, happy and sad and excited for human beings, because that's what this song makes me feel. It's wonderful.
Nice.
I'll put it on right now. All right, now we've got to the end of the pod where I show you a song that I've written in the style of Palm. Fenn, this was bound to happen at some point. I sort of phoned it in a little bit this time. I haven't really done the same amount of effort in my composing a song as I usually do.
Yes.
So what I've done is I've picked up a song I wrote as like a draft for a Basil's thing, potentially like a couple of years ago. And it is in the style of Palm. I was listening to it a lot at the time. And it is unfinished. I just do a bit of a hard fade out at the end. And I hope you enjoy it.
Can't wait. Yeah, nice one.
Thanks,
Very
man.
nice. Yeah, I like clearly like it's like a demo, but I think that would make a really nice Basil's Kite song. I really like the harmonies. I like the ding dang ding 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 ding. Kind of has this almost tropical feel to it. Like it's got this groovy like syncopation. Yeah, and there's a lot of good ideas in there.
Thanks. Yeah, I might develop it into something later on. I think I wrote this using 3 different tunings.
Whoa.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I was thinking there's some like... I was like, it sounds dissonant, but it's like not dissonant how I think of actual dissonance.
Yeah, so...
I should have realized that it was like microtonal.
it was originally called poly-microtones.wav. And then I had to rename it because I didn't want you to guess it straight away. But
yeah, right.
I think the bass is in 17 notes in the octave. The guitar on the left is in 18 and the guitar on the right is in 22. And
whoa,
I just wanted to challenge myself to say, can I find any sort of harmony that makes any sort of sense in this realm?
Yeah, that's an interesting restriction.
Yeah. I think I was sort of touching on it.
Oh, you definitely got it.
Yeah. And then I tried, thanks. And I tried to put like, everyone else I've showed has said it sounds really bad.
Really? I didn't find it that like obviously microtonal or anything.
Well, maybe the friend I'm talking about who I showed it to has perfect pitch. Maybe he's just a bit of a, I don't know, bit of a, what's the word? Bit of a square.
Perfect something.
Yeah, bit of a perfect rhymes with Lilo and Stitch.
He's a perfect Stitch.
He
actually does a perfect Stitch impression. Well,
why is the Stitch impersonation just completely out of my head right now?
Yeah.
Is it Ohana? Ohana means family.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's 100% right.
Cool. That's staying in. Just making a note of when that was. Cool. Yeah.
Let me make a note of where that was so I can boost the volume on that bad boy.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. And also I think I put everything in its own time signature or close to. Like, I know that sort of B section, the verse bit, the guitars, one of them's in 3, the bass is in 5. I think the other guitar's in 5 as well. I don't know, just trying to mess around with palmy kind of compositional techniques. Seeing what sticks. Anyway, thanks so much for listening. That was Palm, Nicks and Grazes. We have been Fenn and Jack Music Rules.
That's right.
And if you liked what you heard, hop on Spotify right now and give us that 5 stars. And if you really like what you heard, hop on Apple Music, give us that review, right? Something nice with also 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to hang out, maybe request an album that we may or may not do. Only if we want to do it will we do it. But request it anyway. Then go on to Music Rules Cast on Instagram. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, hooroo.
Music Rules.
Music Rules. Bye.
Bye.